I would always seek the friends that I pedestaled and that were like insecure attachments a little bit, where like they would kind of be the ones I would chase. Like I would have a bunch of women that would want to hang out with me, but I'd be like, ooh, I want these ones that I couldn't really tell.
I want the difficult ones.
Yeah, like I was like, do they like me? I don't know. Like I'd be like, it's only a matter of time until I hang out with them to make them like me. Like there was like some delusion. So I would have that a lot, where I would just be investing in women that weren't investing in me.
Hello, gorgeous. Welcome back to Vortex Vision, and I am so excited to be doing this interview today. I am sitting here with my very dear friend, Krista Williams. She's the host of the Almost 30 podcast, and I brought her on because she is the friendship queen. I have never met a woman who is more socially active, but not in like a shallow way, not in a silly, superficial way. She has so many deep, vulnerable friendships, and I think that's what we really crave in our lives. So she's here to talk about that today.
I'm excited.
Yay, I'm so excited.
There's people like friends in the past that I've had friendship breakups with. They're like, that bitch, she's not the friendship expert. So just saying, I'm not like a total expert, but I have a lot of deep, intimate relationships, and I've learned a lot about friendship. Especially building the podcast. We have a community of women we support like you do.
Yeah.
So it's been just like a lot of my work in the past couple of years to really invest in and understand relationships and friendships. And I really do feel proud of like the relationships that I have, but I will say I'm not perfect.
Yeah. Well, none of us are.
Yeah.
None of us are. We're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So from looking at your stories, which it seems like you are constantly with people and women and doing things, I have to ask, are you introverted or extroverted?
I'm so extroverted, it's crazy.
Really?
Yeah. Like I feel like a lot of my friends are actually introverts, and I actually get jealous of introverts because I feel like you can channel your energy into your work and you become more successful. Where me, my energy is all over the place, but I've always been an extrovert. So really figuring out the fact that I do get my energy from my relationships, I do get my energy from people, is just something that I know about myself now. So I allow myself more time to recharge and be with people than I think in the past I would like kind of hold back from spending a lot of time with friends.
Okay.
But honestly, I think post-divorce, I've been just very social.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you find that when you were in your marriage, you put your friendships to the side a little bit and that was draining or difficult for you?
Yeah, so I was in a marriage. I was married for a few years. We were together for 10, which is, you know. And in that, you just kind of, your relationships change because you're spending so much more time with your partner. But what I realized with our relationship was that I was so unaligned with myself and I was so unhappy with who I was that I didn't want to be around people. I wasn't my best self. I wasn't someone people wanted to be around probably as much as they do now.
Yeah.
And when you really choose yourself, when you really get out of toxic patterns and codependency and become more of who you are and have better boundaries and standards, people are magnetized to you. Like people have been magnetized to me after my divorce because I chose myself, because I know who I am, and because I'm such a better person and friend than I ever was when I was in an unaligned relationship all the time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so I just feel like so many women put their friendships aside when they're in relationship, and then they sort of don't have anyone to talk through their relationship with. But it's such a shame that we don't put a lot of emphasis on female friendship because these are the friendships that last the longest. And okay, so sometimes I think that we all have this fantasy of like the Sex and the City group of like 4 friends. And the girls. So do you think that's realistic? Like, do you have a core group of people that you've been with for a long time? Or do you find that your friendship groups change a lot?
Yeah, I think just even speaking to that, that was such a, I was 14 in Ohio being like, this is like, I relate to nothing more than Sex and the City, which is delusional. But so many of us grew up with that idea of having the 4 best friends forever, from girls, from Sex and the City. No matter what happened in their lives or their schedules, they stayed friends. Even thinking about Sex and the City, they had divorce, they had kids, they had so much transition, and they stayed friends that entire time. So in my life growing up, I had the assumption that I would have the same friends for the rest of my life, that my friends from Ohio, my friends from high school, my friends from college would be there forever. And that wasn't the case for me. I grew up in a small town. I went to school in Ohio, and I remember after moving to Chicago and then New York and then LA eventually, I was so sad because I was like, have I done something wrong where I haven't taken friends from grade school to middle school to now? Like I have one of my best friends from home, but I thought there was something wrong with me. But really I realized that like the way that my life is, how much I travel, the things that I'm interested in, my friends change how I change. I've been changing so much, so your friendships change. So I think giving myself permission was really helpful. But I think for most of us, if we are people that are committed to our growth, are prioritizing ourselves, and are really interested in living a life that's full, we're going to have relationships that change. We're going to have friends that come in and out. They say that friends are there for a lifetime, for a season, and then for a reason. So sometimes you might be going through a breakup and you get close to one of your friends who's also going through a breakup. Sometimes you might have a friend that you have for your entire life, but maybe you go in and out of being close. So I think it's really being okay with like the changing and evolving of friendships through your life, and accepting them as they are, because once you're good with yourself, you can then accept that relationships will change too.
Completely. And also accepting that people have their different roles in your life. There might be some friends that really you only talk about business, and some friends that you don't talk about business with at all because they're not interested in that or whatever.
Yes, I think that's so real. Like, you probably have that too, where it's like, my friends, I don't really talk about business with a lot of my friends. It's just not my preference. But I do have people in my life that I'm like, oh, I'll talk to you about relationships with, or you talk about whatever. And I think it's just accepting friends for what they are and not trying to make everyone fit in a box of being everything for you or like holding everything. I mean, what's been your journey like in your friendship journey, where, because you're someone that changes and evolves so much. Like, you have like, how did you navigate your friendship relationships when you've changed a lot too?
Well, I don't have a huge group of friends that I'm super close to. You know, I have a handful of people. I've been really lucky to keep some of those people. Like my best friend Shauna, who's also my graphic designer. We met on the internet in, I don't know, 1999 or something, in like a Flickr wardrobe remix group, and met in person in 2006, and we've been friends ever since. And I'm thankful that she's someone who is also interested in self-evolution, and she has a business and she's growing it. We've managed to stay in touch really well. But there are some friends that things just change, like you want to keep growing, or you stop drinking, or your relationship shifts and you just don't connect anymore. And I think it's really easy for us to take that stuff personally. Like the amount of friendships I've had where I was super close to someone, we would voice note all day long, and all of a sudden there's a rift and a change, and you have no idea why that happens, can be so hurtful, because it's really easy to be like, what did I do wrong? Have you experienced that before? Like a friend like ghosts you or whatever? Yeah,
I think I was someone with friendships before where I would always seek the friends that I pedestaled and that were like insecure attachments a little bit, where like they would kind of be the ones I would chase. Like I would have a bunch of women that would want to hang out with me, but I'd be like, ooh, I want these ones that I couldn't really tell.
I want the difficult ones.
Yeah, like I was like, do they like me? I don't know. Like I'd be like, it's only a matter of time until I hang out with them to make them like me. Like there was like some delusion. So I would have that a lot, where I would just be investing in women that weren't investing in me.
Which is so fucking painful.
So painful. But I was like used to it. I was kind of used to being sidekick energy a lot too in my life, where I would like, I love powerful women, but I'd be like sidekick. Like I'd get with a powerful woman as a friend, and I'd kind of be like just supporting her vision, her mission, kind of adjusting to her. But I have many seasons of relationships with women where they've kind of gone in and out or been inconsistent. But over the past year or so since my divorce, it's been like me being first with myself and being good with myself. And even psychically, I had to do a practice of letting go of all my relationships just from like a psychic energetic level. Being okay if every relationship ended. Like if I wasn't friends with you, if I wasn't friends with Natalia, if I wasn't friends with Victoria, whoever, who I deeply love, I'm good. And it's okay. And it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. It's like just natural in life. And so much of my pain was holding on to friends that just weren't a fit anymore. Where I feel like so often people are like, you're my best friend forever. I love you forever.
And you're like, I'm claustrophobic now.
Literally.
You're suffocating me.
You're suffocating me. And that just isn't true. Like, we're just not friends with people forever. It's normal. Like, we go through evolution. I think the more I would hold on to people to try and keep them the same, or try and me be the same, the worse things were off. So the more I can let go and the more I can allow people to be themselves, trust that we're going to weave in and out, and that it's all good, and we'll meet each other at the perfect time, the better my life has become.
Well, I love that you say about letting go of the need for the attachment to those friendships, because I think one of the things that helps intimate relationships flourish is realizing, like, if I'm single forever, I'm good. That's usually when you meet an amazing person. But I don't really hear of anyone practicing that in a friendship space. So I think that's really incredible.
Huge. I think friendships for me, have been the sandbox for developing the skills for my intimate relationships.
Yeah.
So with my girlfriends, I'm so grateful because we have conflict repair. And I know you've had this before in your relationships. I'm excited for you to share more about that. But it's like, I didn't know how to conflict repair with people, really. I had long-standing relationships with men. I had long-standing relationships with women. And we would fight, but I would abandon myself. I wouldn't speak my truth. I would kind of let them win, or I would hold a lot of resentment. You know, it would be just these patterns. So in my female relationships, I've been able to figure out how to have conflict repair, how to go through hard things, how to speak my needs, how to express myself, how to have these experiences that I can now take to my, relationship partners. And I think in life, we kind of put the relationship romantic
at the top.
At the top on a pedestal. Like so many of us just want that partner. We want that one. We want that soulmate. But most of our life consists of our friends.
So true.
Most of our life consists of these people that we're with all the time, and these relationships that we're with all the time. So I just think that our friendships deserve so much more than what we give them, than like a lackluster, lazy energy of like, maybe I'll see you then. Or we just give our friends like not a lot of energy. And I really think that they deserve the same type of energy as our romantic partners in a lot of ways. And the way that I do this in my life is I usually do like 3 levels with my friends. And this is done just like in my notes and in my brain. So I have my core friends who like get full access to me. These are the friends that you can call at 4 a.m. These are the friends that like you can say anything to. These are the friends that like will give you honest feedback. These are the friends that like deserve everything, deserve the effort, deserve the thing. And then you have the B friends, which are like friends that you feel really close to, that you can like call on, that you can hang out with. And then you have C friends, which are like acquaintances. You like see them out, you're like, we're cool, we're acquaintances. But when you understand sort of the levels of your friendship, you can then understand where to divide your energy and like who actually is deserving of your intimacy, deserving of your secrets, deserving of your energy. Because right now I think a lot of people with social media are like, I have hundreds of friends, or I have a bunch of like very thin web acquaintances where we're like, oh yeah, like they're my friend. We're calling each other friends, but we don't really know what that means. And when you have that like gray area, no one's really satisfied or happy. And that's when things happen within relationship that like can surprise people, can be hurtful, and can really just cause both ends of the spectrum to not be happy.
And do you have a specific practice to be like, these are my A group people? How do you sort them into that group?
I'm curious what you do too for yours. It seems like time is a really good one for you.
Time is really the biggest factor for me, honestly.
Probably because would you say it's like you build trust over time, or like you can kind of watch them over time?
I take time to let people in. I like to observe them in their life, because if you turn out to be a chaotic person, I'm gonna keep you in a B or C group.
You're an observer.
Yes, I am.
You are. It's
a
cool.
$1,000,000%.
Like, you'll be around, and like I was like, when we first met, I was like watching you around. I was like, my girl's observing. You just like watch. You're just like, what's going on here? Do I want to like? You know what I mean? It's cool, but. So how do I know about that? So first of all, it's like chemistry. I think friends have chemistry. You know, you meet someone and you're like, our energy is just so good. So
it clicks, it's easy, it's vibey.
For me, play and laughter is number one. So my values too. So it's a values match. Is there chemistry? And then a lot of time for me, it's like, am I gonna be able to say how I feel? Am I able to show up imperfect? Am I able to be myself? And that happens again over time in situations when you say to someone like, hey girl, it really bothered me that you showed up late. That like really hurt my feelings. And do they freak out? Do they blame you? Do they accept it? Like that is trust building. Those are like micro moments of trust. So that's how I develop my small group. And my small group is probably 4 women. It's not a lot. So it's like, and in my small group, we're aware of it. So just like in a romantic relationship where it's like, hey, we're boyfriend, girlfriend, we're girlfriend, whatever. In my core friends, we know what the standards are. We know what to expect from one another. So if like you're doing something that like isn't aligned with your highest self, and it's just like, not a match for your values, like I would call you out. Like I would be like, hey girl, I love you so much, but I'm noticing this. You would have that right too. So when you have that clarity, it's so much easier to like live your life and know who to trust and know how to use friends as support for living a life that you love, because that's what friends are for. Like we're here to love each other. We're here to support each other. We're here to make life better.
Yeah.
And that clarity allows that for me.
Yeah. And so how do you go about meeting these people? Is it just that you created your podcast as a secret funnel to get to know awesome people and become friends with them?
That is true.
Or like, I feel like I meet most of my favorite people on the internet.
Yeah.
It's very rare that I meet my favorite person in Home Goods.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally. That lighting in Home Goods is not my favorite.
It's terrible.
It's not
You
good.
have to go in there with a hat on.
Oh yeah.
A million percent.
And you get like crusty pretzels and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
it's bad.
It's not good.
But I'd love to know how you're meeting these people who seem really aligned to you.
Yeah. I think for me, the podcast helped. So the podcast was a good funnel, yes, because really the reason why, and anyone can apply this to their life, is that I'm being myself. I'm in a space where I'm curious and I'm asking about other people. So I'm really getting to know and I'm listening to people. So the podcast really gives me an opportunity for people to feel really good around me, to people to feel heard and supported by me.
Yes.
And most of the time, people just want to be heard. Like, if you really listen, if you really care about what people have to say, if you're really interested in them, they're probably going to want to be your friend.
Yeah.
But I do think for people that are looking to meet more friends, it is the corny thing about same as romantic relationships, going to a place where you feel good, going to places where you're excited, like pole dancing class.
Right.
You'd be like, okay, if we're going to pole dancing class, we have so much of the same going on.
Yes.
You feel the same way about your body and about your sexuality and about these things. And also too, I really stopped searching. Like, I just was like, I'm not gonna look for friends anymore, because I feel like I was doing that to not invest in the friends I had.
Ooh.
So often people are like, I need more friends, I need more friends. I'm like, are you saying that because you see on social media that people have friends? Or that you perceive that people are doing more cool things because they have friends? Like, what is that true desire? Is it because you actually truly want more friends? Or because you're just ignoring your current friends, you're not wanting to go deeper or more intimate with them? Or you see everyone on social media and you think that everyone has more friends than you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have really great relationships that they could go deeper with.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the call for most people.
Yeah. I remember having a friend in New York who I really liked, really respected, but whenever we hung out, it never seemed like it got any deeper. And years later, I realized it was because neither of us were being vulnerable in any way.
Yeah.
It would be like, how's work? It's great.
Oh my God.
I love your
My hell.
outfit. You know, like,
My hell.
yeah, there's no depth to it,
Yes,
so it never
totally.
goes any deeper.
When you were in that, did you feel it, or did you, looking back, feel it?
Looking back, I felt it. At the
Okay,
time, I would
totally.
be sitting across a table being like, why is this not clicking?
Totally.
But at the time, I didn't have the skills to be vulnerable with someone or go deep with
Totally.
I didn't even really know what that meant.
And you're like, you cross all my boxes off.
Right.
You're like, you love style.
Yeah.
You look cool.
Right.
It's like, we like to have fun. We're hot girls. You know what I mean? It's like everything, but you're not going deeper. I was at a dinner last night, a friend's birthday, and there was a girl sitting next to me. She hangs out with our friends. She's cool, and she's got all these great qualities, but my girl cannot go deep. And it just, I'm like, this is a no for me. Like, I am
Like
just
crying on the
And it's
inside.
not like everyone needs to be like, so my dad when I was little. You know, like, I don't need that at all.
Right, no.
But I just need like an authenticity of like what's real.
Yes.
And I think most people want that. Like, if you go to meet someone and you're like, hey, how's work? And you're like, work's amazing, everything's good. That's dope if it is.
Yeah.
You should have that space. But it's also like, yeah, I don't feel good today. People are like, what?
Yeah.
I don't feel good today. You know, like, people want that authenticity. They want that truth. Like, if that girl was like, yo, like, business isn't good, I don't feel good. It would be like, oh, this is permission for me.
It also gives you an in to
Yes.
actually talk about something real. Because when someone says, yeah, it's great,
Yeah.
where are you supposed to go from there?
Totally.
And sometimes it just turns into a one-upman fest where it's like,
girl.
oh yeah, things are good for me too.
Girl, that's the thing. Is like, my life's amazing. It's great. The friends are great. But it's a practice, because I'm friends with very powerful, successful, amazing, stunning, beautiful, rich women. And that doesn't come with its own work in my mind.
Right.
I'm going to a friend's house. It's a $15 million house. She's got this business. She's got this. You know, if I was someone that wasn't secure in myself, I could spiral. And I have done that in
Absolutely.
the past, where I've been at friendship things and they're like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I leave and I'm like, I'm a fucking loser. I'm doing nothing with my life. So people also want the relationships, but they don't want to do the work it takes to hold and like be good with themselves enough to like support and love other people genuinely and truly. A lot of times people would have imposter syndrome that would stop them from being in true deep relationships.
Yeah. Or you're like, I want to be friends with dope people, but when you
Yes.
meet those dope people, you're intimidated because you didn't work on yourself yet.
Totally.
And you feel like you have nothing to offer. And of course you do, but if you don't believe it, then you can't express it.
Totally.
Yeah.
I've coached a woman before. I remember she would say that, and then she would be in spaces with people, and then she would be very hypercritical of them and judgmental of them because there was a part of her that either self-sabotaged or felt small or intimidated by them.
Yep.
So yeah, I think people say that a lot too, and it's like, why don't you become a dope person?
Right.
If you're going to be a dope person, people are going to be attracted to you. So
Yeah.
it's more, again, about the work of how do we become the person that people want to be friends with? How do we learn to like be a friend to ourselves, and then really prioritizing and valuing the journey of friendship and what it means.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear from you about how you cultivate your friendships, because I feel like the way that you grow and build your friendships is really unique and different. So I'd love to just hear some of what you do that's worked in that way.
Yeah, so for me and my friendships, I think it's first, we have our intuition as women. I think it's really powerful. Men have really beautiful intuitions too. It's that knowing of like, this is a yes or no for me, usually in the first time I meet someone. So I listen to my body.
Yeah.
If it's a no for me, it's a no for me.
I remember when I met Victoria Washington and we were at Natalia's bridal
excited.
shower, and she was just sitting there and she was quiet and a beautiful Scorpio with this big hat on, and I was like, I have to know this girl.
I love you because, see, this is the thing. You would see that and she was silent, dead silent, straight-faced, and you're like, that's what I want.
I was like, this
That's
is so
you.
hot. I love
That's
this.
so you.
How magnetic.
That's so you were. I'm like, hey guys, nice to meet you. You're like fucking puke. But Victoria said she said that when we first met that I was kind of like dismissive, which I didn't even really know.
Okay.
Maybe. So maybe I was like, obviously she's one of my best friends now, but and it's not like I'm cruel to people. It's not like I'm a no. We need to be mindful of our energy.
Yeah.
Every single person, we have an unlimited but limited amount of energy.
Yes.
So if I meet someone, if it's a yes for me, then the way that I do it is just slowly over time, like you watching. You know, like, hey, we're gonna go hang out. How are they with this? How are they with this? How are they holding me with this? I'm super sensitive to how people listen to me and how people hold me when I'm going through something, or when even just paying attention. Like, how are you? Like, are you like this? Are you like... So there's things for me where I'm very clear on what is needed and for me in a relationship. It's almost the same for romantic. I need my man to be present. I need my man to be kind. I need him to be compassionate. Same for my friends.
Right.
If you're not, then I'm not going to invest. And again, the ones that are getting the most time and attention from me are the ones that have proven over time that we can go through conflict.
Yeah.
You know?
One of the things I love about so often what you share about on stories is that you're going for walks with your friends.
Oh my God.
Which it seems like it's your favorite way to bond with people.
The best.
Tell me why.
So there's a lot of reasons why. So actually, there's a really beautiful aspect of walking where you can create intimacy because you're moving towards the same thing. So there's a lot of research around it that if you're in romantic or friendship, by walking towards the same direction, it actually builds intimacy. And there's actually something that's really beautiful that creates freedom for you by not making direct eye contact with people. So by walking next to someone, you can be talking about things, processing, exploring, but you're not like this. Eye contact's the best, but sometimes it's like hard for me to process what I'm saying and then be looking deeply in your eyes.
Yes.
So walks is such a beautiful thing. Being in nature is such a beautiful thing. Like, it's multitasking. It's like, you can be deep, you can be playful, you can be fun. So I think for anyone listening, it's finding what you really like to do and then seeing who can like join you on that journey. If you have friends that are going through different parts of their phases of their life, maybe you can compromise. But I just love walks because it provides this really beautiful open space, open air to really share what's real in our lives.
Yeah. And for someone who's feeling lonely right now, they might be going through a transitional period, they might have moved to a new city. What would your best piece of advice be for them right now, where maybe they're feeling like, I have no one to hang out with on the weekends? What's the best thing that they can do for themselves right now?
Yeah. I think for anyone that feels lonely, I think getting off social media is super helpful. I think it's like...
The comparison is just out of control.
Do you mute people, or what do you do?
I mute people.
Yeah. I have every person muted. So I'm like an amazing friend, but every single person in my life is muted. There's nothing on my feed that comes up.
Really?
No stories, no posts.
Tell me why.
It, for me, was too much debris. You open it up, you're in Tahiti, you're in Thailand, you're donating to puppies, you're like at the sports game, you know, I'm like too
sensitive.
So I would just be in everything. You're in a comment, and it just brings you on these journeys. And this kind of residue is detrimental. It takes so much energy and time to get back to center, to get back to reality. And we're living in these alternate realities. So it's helped me a lot. And I'll just spend like an hour or two a month and just go to my friends' pages, give them love. And I do it when I feel really resourced and when I feel like I have the capacity.
I love that.
You know, because then you're like, okay, I feel really good about my life. I feel really confident. Like, everything feels good. I want to give love. Like, I want to really genuinely like celebrate my friends and like be there with my friends rather than doing something because I feel like I have to or like feeling insecure or feeling out of sorts. So I mute everybody. But
love that.
It's the best. It's truly liberating, I promise you. So for anyone that feels lonely, the feeling of loneliness, so there's loneliness and then there's solitude. So solitude is like the choice. When you're lonely, it feels like you're a victim to being without people. So I think there's an empowerment shift that you can have to choose solitude, to be like, actually in this moment, I'm gonna choose to be with myself, to like calibrate to my own energy, my own experience. But being lonely is, you know, an epidemic. I think most people feel lonely. I think for the most part, it's because of social media where we have this perception that we are in connection with people, but we're not.
Yeah.
Like for me, a social media friendship is good, but it's not the same as in person, like touching, being with people, being physical with people. So I think actually prioritizing in-person relationships is important. And then also having true connection. So because of social media and how, you know, you can like unmatch with someone on social media or you can delete them, you can block them. It's really flippant.
Yeah.
We feel like we can just get rid of people and that they don't matter. So I think we do that in relationships too. But if you're able to not feel lonely when you have someone that actually sees you and is with you as like a true relationship. I felt lonely in relationships when I wasn't being authentic. When I felt like I couldn't be myself. When I felt like
you couldn't tell the truth about something or you're lying in bed feeling lonely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a loneliness within relationships that you can have. But I think it's really getting well within first to like feel okay with yourself. So you're also not going to relationships to cure a loneliness because you're sad. Like it makes sense, but it's like
don't use those people
yes
to fill that hole.
For your end, I guess. You know, what would you say?
For someone that's feeling lonely, I think feeling lonely is an invitation to get really curious about who you are. And if you're feeling lonely, I think it's a time for you to watch some documentaries, read some books, take some walks, listen to some music, and just reconnect with yourself. And it gives you so much more to pull from when you then meet someone. You have thoughts, you have interests, you have things you're passionate about. And I also find that the more invested you are in what lights you up, then the more people are attracted to you. And like nobody wants to hang out with you when you have nothing to say, you're not doing anything, you have no creative projects or passions. I want to hang out with people who are doing crazy shit that's exciting for me.
Yes, 100%. It's like, what are you bringing to the table?
Yeah.
It's like resourcing yourself enough to have interesting things to say.
Yeah.
Having your own perspective, whatever, like makes you an attractive person as a friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
And honestly, it's effort.
Yeah.
I think people forget, like, we've been told that having friends just happens. And that it's almost like marriage. Like it's, you know, not many people have been taught about marriage.
Right. Like, oh, I got married. Tick. Okay, now I can focus on other things.
Like I didn't even know that when I got married, I was married. And you had to be married. You know what I mean? I was like, cool, we're married. And then it's like, no, you have to like be a married couple. I was like, okay, this isn't gonna work. So like lonely people, you have to either be with yourself, make the effort, or make the effort. You have to put yourself out there. Like when I first moved to LA, I remember I didn't have a lot of friends. And I went to this workout class. I met this girl. We were like dancing in this class. We were like vibing. After class, we were like talking. I was like, oh, can I like get her number? And I like text her after class. Crickets. Like literally nothing. Like ghosted.
Yeah.
But it was like making the effort. Like you're going to have to try. Like people aren't going to come to you.
Yes.
You have to go try to find them. You have to make dates, make plans, go outside your comfort zone and push yourself. Like instead of just being like, I'm lonely, it's like, do something about it.
Yeah, so many people are waiting for the invitations to come. Like if the no invitations are coming, then get in your phone and text some people.
Yeah, make the party yourself. Have a party at your house.
Yes.
Have a dinner party. Like go to the movie, like do whatever it is that you want to do and invite people along.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
So let's talk about friendship breakups and friendship challenges. Something that you've spoken about before is the idea of a clearing conversation, and I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. So a clearing conversation was inspired by my best friend Lindsay and I. So, you know, Lindsay, we have a podcast, Almost 30. And when you run a business together and you're best friends, you got to talk about stuff.
Oh, yes.
You got to clear some stuff, especially when you're running a business. It's like you're talking money, dreams, team. Like there's just so many moving parts. So in our relationship, I remember it was like the second or third year in, and I was like, oh, I got like beef with my girl. I was like, I fucking driving me nuts.
I want to put a knife in your eye right now.
I want to square up. I want to square the fuck up. And she probably wanted to fucking kill me too.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the skills then, and it was just like this build up and this like tension of like, oh my God, okay, I'm gonna say something, and she's gonna say something, and we just were like so scared. We were so out of our bodies, but we did it, and we did the hard thing. We had the conversation. We said how we felt, and we were able to move forward. And over time, we've just gotten better and better and better at clearing conversations. So a clearing conversation is basically clearing the psychic space in the air. So a lot of times in relationships, you could be like, you know, she's not really showing up for me. And you're kind of thinking that. I'm going through a divorce, maybe as an example. I told her about my divorce, but she hasn't called me or texted me. And, you know, it kind of bothers me. So the next time I see you, I'm like, there's kind of that energy of like, you know, kind of, she's not really
Just the grit.
Yes, the grit. Whatever it is that you need to say that's unsaid. Sometimes you don't need to say it, you know, and not everything needs to be said. But it's when you need to have a conversation that brings you closer that's actually preventing you from being in a like right relationship. Because sometimes if you're holding a grudge, you can't actually be in a right relationship together because the grudge is kind of preventing that. So in clearing conversations, what Lindsay and I do as like a practice, one of my favorite things ever in relationships, romantic relationships, is how we start it. So we'll schedule them. We'll be like, hey girl, like I'm feeling like there's something brewing, you know, could we like have a clearing conversation? We'll schedule it, put it on the calendar, and we'll like be resourced, hydrated, well slept.
Does that not give you
therapized.
huge, tremendous anxiety?
Not anymore. It used to.
That's
Because-
like the idea of someone texting you
totally.
like, we have to
We have
talk,
to
and then
talk.
you're like,
Totally. But she's my core.
Right.
And my core is safe.
right.
So these aren't my B or C because I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like these are my core where I'm like, you can say and I can say, and we've worked through this. So the clearing conversation might start out with you just being like, it might even not be a clearing conversation. You could start building trust by being like, hey girl, when you said that thing at that party, like that kind of hurt my feelings. I just want to tell you, like, would it be okay to not say that? You could be like, yeah, girl, that works. And we're like building intimacy.
Yes.
Then eventually we could have more. So it's my core is clearing, so it doesn't stress me out. And we could even not schedule it. She could be like, hey, do you have a minute? And I could be like, yeah. But it's nice to be resourced. It's nice to be therapy. It's nice to be slept, whatever. And then we'll always start out with security statements. So security statements are great for romantic relationships, great for friendships. And it's like, I love you so much. You are like such an amazing friend to me. Like, I love how you're showing up as a mom. Like, you've been such a baller in this way. Like, you're always really there for me and you always really see me. And in this moment, and then we'll move to the next thing. So in the security statement, you're affirming the relationship. You're like, I love you. Like, this is why we're here. The reason why we're here is because I love you.
If I didn't care, we wouldn't bother.
And I think you're amazing. If someone comes to you and they have beef and they're like, I love you and I think you're amazing, and it just like, you know, it didn't sit right with me that this happened. You're like, that's all good. But if someone's like, yo, it didn't sit right with me, you're like, okay, bitch.
You're like, psh.
100%, I'm squaring up. And so it just sets the stage in such a beautiful way. Your heart is open, you're soft. Security statements. And then we use phrases like the story that I'm telling myself.
Yeah.
And the story that I'm telling myself will be something like, the story that I'm telling myself is that you don't care about the business because you're not putting in as much work as me. And that's a story. It's not the truth.
Right.
What we're seeing is stories. And that story comes from my background. It comes from my childhood. It comes from my situation and circumstances. Too many people go into friendships and relationships and say things that they think are ultimate truth. And they're not. It's a perspective. So that's my story. And she goes, okay, that can be true or not. Like, she's going to be like, yeah, you know, I have the story that I'm telling myself is that you don't care about me or whatever. And it's like, no, I actually care about you. And this is the truth. So then we can find the truth together. And then it also puts like, this is the story, this is the story. And like, we're going to figure out the truth together. You're going to say your truth, I'm going to say my truth. We're going to figure it out together.
So it's a collaborative process.
Yes.
It's not just like you're monologuing and they just have to sit there and take it.
Girl, no.
Okay.
You can't, no. That's the window of tolerance thing.
Right.
Which I've learned in my romantic relationships. Like, if you go into any conversation, you're like, this pissed me off, you did this sucked, you're done.
Yeah.
You can't handle that much. So it needs to be like dosed and collaborative. And also too, like for anyone that's doing a clearing conversation, process with your therapist, process with your other best friend that's maybe not friends with them to get really clear so it's not like messy.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm gonna be like, fucking dude. And then that's fine, but it's not taking that to the moment where I'm like fucking, you know, pissed at her or whatever.
And you want to be able to discharge all of the energy around it before you come to the conversation.
Yes.
Because you don't want to just throw stuff at them.
Yes.
You want to be regulated.
Yes. And I have thrown stuff and she's thrown stuff and we've done that and it's fine, but it doesn't feel good and it's not as productive. And that's when it can't, and it's not being perfect, but it can be harmful. If you're real messy and you're like calling names and you're like just being unprocessed and unregulated. And for a lot of people, if someone comes to them that way, they have a trauma response that's going to be like they're done.
Yeah, completely. Full freeze or fight or flight.
Exactly, like I'm done. This is unsafe. You are volatile. This is not okay.
Yeah.
And so the clearing conversation just sets the stage for the most productivity, the most like love to be had, and for us to really hear each other in the truth.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times people think, oh, I'm just going to be honest. Like, I'm going to be honest with you.
Right.
And they think that's honesty to be like, so you were doing this. It's not honesty.
Right.
Honesty is like, I'm hurt.
Yes.
You know what
Honesty
I
is
mean?
talking about yourself.
Yes.
Not talking about them.
Yes.
I felt like such and such when you said such and
Yes,
such.
exactly.
Rather than you're a terrible person because.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the clearing conversations just really create this beautiful space. But again, for a lot of people listening, this is like level 201 stuff. Like a lot of friends can't handle that.
Yeah.
I wasn't a person that could handle that for so long. Like if you had anything wrong with me, I left the room and I was like, yeah, whatever you say. Like, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's practice and it's metabolizing and it's nervous system regulation for it. So but it's how we grow. And I want this in my friendships and I want this in my romantic relationships because I want to feel safe, and safety is created for me in that way. And most people want to feel safe.
Absolutely.
You know?
So the clearing conversation, you start with a security or a safety statement.
Yes.
Then you talk about, here's how I'm seeing things.
Yeah.
And then is there a way that you like to wrap it up or move away from it?
Yeah, usually it will kind of intuitively move.
Okay.
But it is kind of like how you can take responsibility and then things you're going to do moving forward. You're like, okay, I heard you that you think that I don't care as much about the friendship because I'm not calling you on the weekends. I'm not going to be perfect, but I'm going to make a best effort.
Right.
Because I hear you, because you express the need. Like, and there should be like a summary, and then it's just like being light.
Yeah.
Like it's actually really important for clearing conversations to just like have fun and fuck off after.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like get back into the vibration of where you guys are in friends. I think a lot of times if you go down to the clearing and you stay there, it's not a place you want to be.
And then when you part ways, it still feels kind of like heavy and dark.
Yes.
So like go eat some ice cream or watch
Literally.
Sex in the City.
Yeah, do something silly, have fun, like be joyful and be back in your normal flow.
Yeah.
Because then you'll feel safe.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be like, because if you leave and you're like, okay, was that okay? You know, kind of something might come up. But I think really just being able to speak your truth and be yourself is part of what it is to be in a friendship.
Yeah. And so if you are someone who is struggling with their friendships right now, maybe you feel like these people are not a good fit for me anymore. What do you do about friendship breakups? Do you feel like there's a right way to go about it? Is there a wrong way to go about it? Is it ever
your worst one?
my worst one?
Yeah.
I think it's just being ghosted.
Oh my God.
Being ghosted
Say
in a
more.
friendship is brutal because it's the endless spinning of what did I do? Did I say something wrong? Did I post something on Instagram that you didn't like? Do I have bad breath? Like, what's going on here?
How long were you friends with them?
Like years.
Stop.
Years. But I feel like I've had this experience many times. And it's always a mystery. Like, one of the questions I wrote down was...
You activate people.
Well, I've heard that, but then I'm like, people are just saying that to be nice to me.
No.
But like, I feel that being ghosted, you always think like, okay, maybe I'm a shitty person.
For sure.
Which is why this keeps happening to me.
Of course, you're going to make it about you.
Yeah, of course.
What are you going to do? Be like, they ghost me. I'm like, that's because I was an activator.
Right.
You know, I'm amazing.
Right.
They
Right.
were intimidated.
Right.
That's what I did actually with the dating situation. I was like, ghost me. Liked me too much. It's like dating in your 30s. You're just like delusional in the best way. You're like, I intimidated him.
I'm just too powerful.
I'm too powerful. Yeah,
and he just had to back
too
away.
Rich, too hot. I was like, got scared. Couldn't move.
Yeah.
Dude, being ghosted is heartbreaking.
It's awful.
Because you go through the situations, and it's interesting because in that situation with ghosted, you can easily see where you, like, your limiting beliefs a little bit.
Yes.
You're like, okay, because someone else might not have that. So for you, maybe online is not. Mm-hmm. Maybe people online are judging me. Mm-hmm. Maybe I said something wrong. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Of like what you did wrong.
Right. Or often I think like maybe seeing me be happy online is too much for you. But then I'm always like, I'm not fucking pretending that my life sucks ass to make you happy.
Totally.
Why should I do that?
Totally.
It's not real anyway.
Totally.
You know?
Was there any issue before the ghosting?
Not that I'm aware of.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you ever reach out?
I think I've reached out a couple of times, but there's nothing.
Okay.
So eventually you think, well, she's just fucked up. So it's not my
100%.
problem.
Totally.
But who knows?
It is, I mean, there's a lack of skill there.
Yeah.
If people are ghosting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, I
And what
agree.
I've had to learn, emotional depth does not equal emotional maturity.
Ooh.
So someone can be deep and they can be like, yeah, you know, talk about fucking aliens, conspiracies, trauma, whatever the fuck. And they don't have the skills to be in relationship.
Yes, it's so real.
It's so different. That's such a different thing because someone that's ghosting you doesn't have skills.
Yes.
They're not emotionally mature. So you guys can connect and kiki and have your time, but they're not emotionally mature. But that's heartbreaking. Like,
Yeah.
that's heartbreaking. Yeah, I've had friendship breakups in my life for sure. You know, I've had my heart broken by many men, but also many women.
Yes.
Like, it's painful.
It's awful.
It's awful. It hurts so bad. Like, you just feel so alone. And like, I think women, for me at least, have gotten access to parts of me that a lot of times men didn't get.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's even worse. You're like even more rejected. But for me, in a lot of ways, it was mother wound stuff. And I've talked about mother wound before, but
Okay.
so the mother relationship sets the standard for any other relationship in our life. Our mother is life for the first years of our life. So how we are with our mother, the attachment, how they are with other people, really sets the stage for how we can be with female friends. So for a lot of people, my mom was not around, she was not attentive, she was all these things. So me in friendship, I would be in relationships, I'd try to get attention from women that were not attentive, women, all these things. So when I had friendship breakups, it would be this like really deep closeness and then like an intense rupture where something would happen and we would just end up not being friends. But it was so incredibly heartbreaking, and I think I just had to allow myself to move through it and then learn to like coping skills, learn healing skills, learn to be my own best friend, but just know it's completely normal.
Yeah.
You know, I think we talk about romantic breakups all the time, but friendship breakups can literally be just as hurtful and harmful.
Even more so.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no support for it. Like
None.
people are used to the idea of like you got dumped so you're eating
Every
a
song.
pint of ice cream.
Every song, everything,
Yes.
yes, about romantic breakups.
But if you broke up with your best friend, then
Yes.
there's no songs about that.
Girl, I know.
Where are the songs about it?
And sometimes you're closer to them. Like,
Yes.
it feels like they're gonna be around longer.
And their absence is so loud.
Yes.
You're like, who am I going to send memes to?
100%. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
But everyone goes through them, and now I think in the last round I had friendship breakups like a few years ago, and it was like my final straw where I was like, yeah, I'm no longer outsourcing my power, and I'm no longer outsourcing my worth, and I'm no longer outsourcing myself to other people. And if this happens again, I'm going to be in a conscious decision about it rather than unconscious, because we were in unconscious codependent patterns that like caused the rupture to happen. That was like big drama.
Yeah.
And I was like, no more. Like, I want to be much more mindful about how I'm going to be navigating things.
And I'm not going to use this person as a prop to base how I feel about myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Which is big. So if somebody wants to have a friend breakup, or they're like, you know, it's not a vibe anymore, what's your advice on how to approach that? Is it like, that's the thing, not everybody can handle the real conversation.
100%.
But do you try to have it anyway? Like, what do you think that looks like?
I'm personally a no. I'm like, let things
Fizzle?
flow. Let them flow. Like, you've had them before, and I have many friends that have had the conversation where they're like, hey, I need a break. Let's take a break from this. And I don't think I've had that, but I just feel like things can ebb and flow naturally. If you're truly in a new vibration and have different priorities and different interests, you guys are naturally going to sort of fall out.
Yeah.
If a conversation needs to be had and this person is persistent and like they can hold it, then that's fine. But I think doing it with kindness, like I'm not a fan of being like, hey, you know, you're not interesting to me, and you know what I mean? You're kind of boring now and you're lame. It's like, just allow them to be them, allow you to be you, and things will naturally fade. I don't think a conversation is necessary. But if you feel like it's in your best interest and their best interest, and you feel like you're going to get value from it, I think that's important. But again, just making sure you're resourced and that you're capable, you know, of doing it.
And sometimes feeling like you need to tell them like what's wrong with them or what's not working for you, I think is kind of selfish, because just because it doesn't work for me, Gala, it might work for the next person that you meet. They might love to do that thing that I don't like doing with you.
Totally.
So I don't want to put that on somebody, you know?
I think when people do that, it's not, they want to be in relationship or they want to hurt the person. It's like, if you really truly are cool about not being someone's friend, you're like, no, it's all good.
Yeah.
I'm cool. You're cool. But if you kind of still desire the connection, you're going to be like, girl, you're going to put in the effort to hurt them because you're still hurt. And there's just no point, you know, to do that. But if someone asks you like, hey, can I have feedback? You have to like give feedback.
Yeah.
And be like, you know, this is why it wasn't working for me. But with kindness, I think always works. But I don't think a conversation is always necessary. But at times, if you maybe have deep, intimate relationships that are long-standing, then yeah, you know.
Yeah. So what do you do if there's a friend in your life who seems to create drama? They have always got some new chaos, some new madness. How do you rock with that? Do you have any tolerance for that? Are you not interested? Are you kind of thrilled by it?
No, not my jam.
Yeah.
Not my journey, not my truth. So friends that are always in drama, it's just like, I feel like that was like our 20s and younger.
Yeah.
And I just don't have time for it. It's like such an energy drain. So if a friend is in that, I'll kind of watch and see for like 6 months, like, how we doing? Like, what's up? We still in drama? Is this you, or is this just what's going on in your life?
Right. Is it circumstantial? Because it easily can be.
Yes. You want to be there for people. Like, I'm all about being there for people through hard times. Like, I'm not happy all the time. My life is not good all the time. I need people when I'm going through it. But after 6 months or so, like, I'm gonna be like on my journey, because I can't be in that myself. Like, I have to not self-abandon enough for people. So I think really watching, maybe you're creating drama in your life and they're kind of matching you. Maybe you guys are both doing it. But if it's not a fit and they're not serving you and not bringing anything to your life and really taking energy from you, then you don't need to be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you had that experience?
Yeah, I've definitely had friends that were chaotic.
Yeah.
And I think, again, in my 20s and my 30s, I was drawn to it because it's interesting and they've always got a story and they're always going out and there's something to do and blah, blah, blah. But over time, you just start to realize that it's not worth the energy you're putting into it. And also, it's giving you a warped perception of what life is and can be. Like, if you have a friend who's always in some man drama, you're gonna start to think that men bring drama. Like, these people influence you by what they say, what they do, what they think, how they behave. So we have to be really clean about who's around me, what's their life like. If I don't want my life to be like theirs, then probably I shouldn't spend time with them.
I love that. And even thinking about that, it's like, it's like having hope for people, but not expecting them to change.
Yes.
I think people will be friends with someone, they're like, oh, they're, and then it'll be like years and years and years and like a life. Like, I even have a really close friend who I still am close with, but I kind of had to leave in their drama. And we're contained close now, where I'm like, I realized after like 15 years, I was like, oh, this has been the same thing.
Yeah.
They had the same realizations, the same drama, the same stories. And I was like, oh, I need to no longer have hope that you're going to change, because you're probably not. And I'm still going to love you as you are. But like, that's not part of my experience anymore.
Yeah.
And I can love you from a distance.
Yeah. I think loving from a distance is such an important point. If you have conflict with a friend or it's no longer a vibe, then it's okay to love from a distance.
Yes.
You don't have to cut them off forever, have nothing to do with them, block them on all social media, but you also don't have to be texting them every day.
Yes. I think so many people have so many friends that they just don't think about. It's like, because we mostly think about the friends that are in our immediate proximity, the ones that we see. Like, there's a lot of research around friendship, and that it does talk a lot about proximity creates friendship. When you were younger growing up, you're friends with people that were on your street and in your area. So when we're around people, it creates this sense of like intimacy and closeness. But I have so many friends that they'd be like, yeah, we're friends, but we haven't talked in months. So it's like we all have so many friendships that we can tune into, that we can pour into, that we can be with, that maybe just aren't with us all the time.
Yeah. And I love what you said earlier, really about pouring into the people that you do have.
Yes.
And asking yourself, where can I bring more energy to this?
Yep.
How can we get closer? What could we do to get closer? And this idea of creating your own invitation and not waiting for them. You know, your friends are going through so much all the time that you may not even know about. So maybe reaching out to them and being like, hey, do you want to get pizza and just eat it on the beach and do nothing?
Yes. I think everyone wants those friends where you can just go to Home Goods.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, and that's the thing. It doesn't need to be like parties. It doesn't need to be going out. It doesn't need to be dinners. Like, the best friends are like, hey, can I come over and we can sit on the couch?
1,000,000%.
Like the other night, my friend Joey came over and we just looked at each other's Google searches and just like pissed our pants for like 2 hours at the shit that we had Googled. You know, it's like, it doesn't need to be much. Like,
Yes.
you can find easy, light things. And when people can take the pressure off to be perfect, when people can take the pressure off for needing to look a certain way, when people can really just show up with like, also like a desire to just love someone and like get to know them and like a pure intention, it just gets so much better.
Yeah. And it's all practice for our romantic relationships too. You know, these skills are transferable and there's so much love available in our lives if we can open ourselves up to feel it.
Yes.
But sometimes that means you're going to have to make the first step or take the first phone call.
I think as like a last thing, it's like, that was such a shift for me in my life of like, no one's going to save you. Like, I always would be like, God, I want this opportunity to come, or like, I want this person to come, or I want this thing to happen, or, you know, I want the house, or I want the thing. It's like, you have to live like no one is coming to get you. If you want friends, you have to make it happen. If you want the thing, you have to go for it. Sure, the universe will support you once you build your own momentum, but like you taking the step is like the sign the universe needs to step in and then support you in everything. So going first, talking to people at parties, saying hi to people, being friendly and open is going to be huge for people that want to like develop and create more friendships.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think are the things you look for in a friend?
The things I look for in a friend. I need humor, just like you. If I can't laugh with you about something inappropriate, we will never be friends. And most of my friends, if you ever saw our text conversations, I would be canceled 5 times over.
Yes, that's
because it's deeply
critical.
Inappropriate and wrong. So we have to be able to laugh about wrong things. And I also love someone with an interest in the weird.
Yeah.
You know, if you're bog standard conventional, it's probably not going to be a match for me. And I think also a degree of freedom. Like, I don't talk to my best friends every day.
Yes.
We talk when we feel the urge, and I like the easy come, easy go nature of that. That feels really good to me.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I don't have the energy to talk to people on my phone. Like, I chat in the DMs with people all day long, and sometimes I just don't have any more energy for it.
Right, totally.
So kind of understanding where my energy is and not taking that personally is really big for me.
Yeah, and even like you having those values, like people listening can be like, these are my values and friends.
Yeah.
I want someone that's a good listener. I want, you know, having that too can also help guide you for like what you're looking for and who to go deep with. Like,
Yes.
humor, freedom, like all of those things are so important. Now you're like, okay, are you down with that or not? Because
Right.
then I know where to go.
Right, exactly. Yeah, what would you say are your like,
Humor, number one.
yeah.
Yeah, humor. I'm like, where do I go past humor? Attentive and present.
Yes.
Like, it's really important.
Like no phones on the table
No
at
phones
dinner.
on the table.
Yeah.
Eye contact, body language, like
Yes.
super important to me. And then I would say like a positive like disposition. Like, I need someone that's positive, not in victim mentality.
Oh my God. Yeah, no.
It's something I'm working on in therapy to let it go. Because I just hate it. I'm like, you need to, like, I want you to feel like you're in the creator mode of life. Like, there's possibility.
Yes.
Like, everything's a yes.
Yes.
Like, what can we do? Like, there's a sense of magic for life that I just, like, love.
Yeah, childlike zeal.
Yes.
Love that. I
Love.
co-sign that. I do. All right, I'm gonna ask you.
High five. High five. High five, sis.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you my sexy six.
Okay.
You're the first person to answer them.
Okay.
So I hope you're ready. Okay.
In the sexiest way possible.
These better be sexy. Okay. Number 1, what did you want to be as a child, and how are you honoring that today?
You know what's psycho is I
What?
was thinking about this yesterday.
Really?
My mom sent me a picture. I had a little kid book that I wrote in. I said I wanted to be an actress, and I wanted to own a farm for like animals.
Amazing.
And like that's literally my journey. Like it's only a matter of time.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that weird? And I'm honoring that now. What we do is an acting, but there's like an actress entertainment element
There's a
to it.
performance element for
And then
sure.
the animals thing. Animals are like my thing.
I love that.
I know. What was yours?
I wanted to be an actress, a radio DJ, and a writer.
Stop.
And I mean, basically, that's my life.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
It is crazy, but it just shows I really believe that we know what we want as children. There's like a seed of it in our spirit when we're born.
Totally.
And if you're really gonna be happy, you pull that thread with you the whole time.
Wow.
That's what I believe anyway.
I'm so grateful my parents had that because I wouldn't have thought, I would have had no idea.
That's
as
so
a kid.
great.
I know.
Brilliant.
I know.
Brilliant. Number 2, what is the name of the movie of your life?
Gravity and levity.
Ooh. Damn.
I just like to be as deep as I am light. Like I like the depth and I love the light.
Ugh.
I just want to traverse both. I was
Fuck,
gonna
that's
say
a-
Clueless, but then I was like, that's a real movie. I was like, you're like movie of your life. I'm like, my favorite movie in my life. Okay, Gravity and Levity.
Wow, great answer. Number 3, who is on your spiritual board of directors and why?
God. God's the CEO. God's my boss.
Yeah.
And then friends, would you say spiritual friends
Sure.
or like my community? I would just say God's my boss. I'd say I rock with God. I have my guides and my team and my angels, but I just kind of keep it easy. Like I'm not like, hey, Mary Magdalene, you know what I mean? I don't really like personify anybody.
Okay.
I just kind of rock with that as like a simple thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Number 4, what is your life philosophy?
That's a good one. I was thinking, like, what's the point? It's like my life philosophy. Literally, like sometimes I'm like, what's the fucking point of this? What's the point of any of this? I think my life philosophy is, I don't know. I feel like sometimes we're just like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? If we're not growing, if we're not having fun, if we're not enjoying ourselves, if we're not like making things the best they can, and just being really curious about like literally what are we doing on earth? What are we doing in relationship? What are we doing in creating? And just being honest and serious about like how we're spending our time.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think you take that with everything that you do. Like that's a thread for all the work that you do.
A lover of life and a fan of living it too.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5, what's on your bucket list that you haven't done yet?
Oh, that's a good one. It's weird because like there's like my 20-year-old like ego bucket list where I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, run a marathon. I'm like, no, that's not on my bucket list. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about that.
Right.
So it's like getting an older bucket list. I think mine would be more with like my work and like like interviewing and sitting with certain people and really fucking going there. I feel like I have gone there. People would think that I've gone there, but I really haven't gone there with what I want to say and who I want to be. And so being on my bucket list would be like to really actually say how I feel and be myself, I think, as the biggest thing before I die.
Okay.
To feel fully expressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And number 6, what would you like your tombstone to say?
Oh my God, let it rip. Let it RIP.
That is brilliant.
You're like, let it and then RIP. What would you want yours to say? I mean, honestly, you'd have it graffitied out. It would be like all the graffiti.
I don't know, but I feel like whatever was chiseled into it would need Swarovski crystals.
100%.
You know,
Have
bedazzled
it be
tombstone.
neon.
Yes. Neon around the edge.
Yes. Yeah.
Disco grave.
6.
That was our 66.
Okay.
You killed that.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that. That was amazing. And I feel like we really covered some deep stuff that people really struggle with. I really appreciate your expertise and your genius on the matter.
I love hanging with you.
Same. It's my fave.
The best. We're so lucky, to be honest.
We're so lucky. We're so lucky. So where can people find you? How do they get more into your sexy world?
It's Krista on Instagram's perfect. It's Krista.com. So it's ITSKRISTA. And then Almost 30 Podcasts is the podcast.
Which
perfect.
You need to listen to.
She was on it. We talked about manifestation. It was when your book came out.
Yeah.
It was baller.
It was baller.
Yeah.
It was great.
And tapping and all the stuff. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen to her podcast. All right. Thank you everyone for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.